Every device connected to the internet has an IP address, like a house address. But here's the problem. Inside that house, there are many rooms. How do you know which door to knock on? That's where ports comes in. Think of ports as a door or entry point inside a computer. Different doors are used for different services. And these doors are controlled by something called as protocols, which are basically rules for how communication should happen. Port numbers. A port number is just a number between 0 to 65,535. Each number represents a different service. For example, port 80 is like the door for websites using HTTP. Port 443 is for secure websites using HTTPS. Port 25 is for email. Port 53 is for DNS, which resolves website names. So, if the IP address is building's address, then the port is the door number for specific services. TCP versus UDP. Now, ports work with two main protocols, TCP and UDP. TCP is sending a registered parcel. It makes sure the delivery is correct, reliable, and in order. That's why things like websites, email, and remote logins use TCP. UDP, on other hand, is like sending a quick postcard. It's faster, but there is no guarantee it arrives safely. That's why things like video call, streaming, and DNS often use UDP. So TCP is reliable but slower. UDP is faster but less reliable. Common ports you must know. As a cybersecurity beginner, you should memorize some of the most common ports. Port number 21, FTP for file transfers, 22, SSH for secure remote login, 25, SMTP for email, 53, DNS to translate names to IPs, 80, HTTP websites, 443, HTTPS, secure websites, 445, SMB, file sharing in Windows, 33,089 RDP, remote desktop for Windows. These ports are everywhere in SOC alerts, in vulnerability scans, and in hacker playbooks. Why hackers scan ports? Now, here's the important part. Why do hackers care about ports? When hackers scans a system, they are basically checking which doors are open. If port 22 or SSH is open, can they brute force the password? If port 445 or SMB is open, can they exploit a Windows vulnerability? If port number 3389 RDP is open, can they break into remote desktops? That's why one of the first step in hacking is port scan. It reveals the attack surface of the system. As a defender in a SOC, knowing which ports are normal and which one looks suspicious is critical. Conclusion. So here's the takeaway. Ports are like doors on a computer. TCP and UDP are the two main ways those doors work. Certain ports are linked to specific services you must know, and attackers scan ports to find weak spots. Once you understand ports and protocols, network traffic stops looking random, it starts to make sense.